So we're going to call this to order at 5:08 p.m. So we appreciate the turnout, especially live people, because we don't get to see a lot of live people and people on TV and TV land. And what we are doing is we were having a meeting tonight to discuss a moderated community discussion. So the board has been looking at the budgets this year, and we're looking at numbers for enrollment for the next few years projected. Of course, you know, we never know what the future's going to predict, and my crystal ball hasn't worked in 25 years. So if somebody has a good crystal ball, I'd love to borrow it. But we're looking at some decreasing enrollments, and we're looking at a lot of increases in tax rates. And we wanted to, before we just went to town meeting with the budget, we asked the superintendent's office, and we're going to do a quick introduction in a minute, to give us kind of high-level overview of a couple budgets. One where we combined some services, and one where we kept kind of things as status quo, but just what the superintendent's recommendation would be for the decrease in enrollment that we're experiencing. And we wanted to present it and put it out there, and then we asked our school district moderator, Sarah Shippey, to my right, to come in and just moderate any discussion that there may be from the public, so that the board can really pay attention to what's being said, because sometimes we get lost in the meetings and we're not really paying attention as much as we should sometimes, because there's a lot of things going on. So I think what we'll do is we'll start off with just an introduction of the people at the table. And I'll start with Meredith, who is a River Valley board member from Dover, who's in TV land, and she's the only one showing on the screen, but Meredith does our clerk work too, so there's Meredith, and then we'll start down on the far end of the table.
I'm Francesca Palumbo. I'm the principal here at Wardsboro. Welcome.
Tracy Gamache, principal at Tillford.
Well, Tebow, superintendent from Central.
Heidi Ross, the director of finance from the central office.
And Rich Werner, and I'm the chair of River Valleys.
Sarah Shippey, moderator.
Blake Warren, Wardsboro. Porter, Wardsboro.
Kate Rideout, Woodsboro.
And I'd also like to recognize another celebrity. We have Andy, our school district clerk, who's come because he's going to talk to us about timelines, deadlines, as soon as we're done. So I'd like to start with Bob and Heidi from central office. They worked with our two administrators, Tracy and Heidi, and they put together a budget, I think, that is in the packet that we passed out. And those people online, I believe it's available online. Pardon?
I don't think we put the budget that we presented last time because it was more about a discussion of.
Okay.
We have the options.
Okay, so you have the options. Okay, so Bob, why don't you and Heidi?
Start with this.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so one of the packages you're going to find in your materials is some enrollment projections.
And this is available online?
Yep, it's all linked on the agenda online under enrollment projections. This is, you can see that on the front page, goes this way is the whole district's projections for the next 3 years, including this year's first. And you can see that this year we're at 124 students. Next year up to 133, drops down to 126, then at 113 in 3 years. On the back side though, and this is where the real difference is, when it separates it out by school, by campus. And again, it attempts to predict incoming students based on birth rates in the town, reported births. So you can see the Dover building on the top half of the page. It starts with 80 and in 3 years is actually up. It actually comes down off of a little bit of a high of 98, 94, and 88. And in Wardsboro, it's sort of the opposite. So you can see how currently at 44, and then it goes into a bit of a decline and ends in 3 years at 25. And it was these projections that started some conversations, I think, at the board level around how do we address this? What does it look like educationally for students, and how does it impact budgeting? So this was sort of the starting place, I guess you could say. And the board tasked the administration with coming up with really two different looks, if you will, at the budget. One that was, I'm not gonna say status quo, but one that was a student needs budget based on what we currently do. And so we have identified that as Plan A. And then the second budget that involved more consolidation of services to account for some of the declining enrollment, we refer to that as Plan B. And on this sheet, I think I'm going to have the principals, if it's okay with Rich, to have the principals kind of walk through these, if that's what you want, to identify what exists now in the first column. This is the Wardsboro side. What would exist in Plan A? What would exist in Plan B? The color shaded represent changes in those things. And on the back page, or the flip side, is the same thing for Dover. So current, Plan A, and Plan B, with the color shading, again, identifying things that would be changed as far as student services go. So do you want to have them go through each one individually, Rich? Or do you-
Well, let's start with the enrollment. Just, is there any questions or any thoughts on enrollment just while Bob's got the floor?
And I'll just add to it that this is not unusual. This is not unique to the state or even really, frankly, more nationally. This trend is something we're seeing. You've heard, I'm sure, stories of what's happening in Marlboro, facing the exact same thing. They're not part of a larger district, and so they don't have other campuses to kind of help level that out. And so they are struggling with that vote to potentially close as well. So this is not new. Every district we have in our SU are projected to have enrollment declines, as are I think all the places around us. So,
In a lot of years ago, when Dover was looking at building the addition that's there, so like 30 or 35 years ago, there'd been projections that there'd be like 200 students in Dover. And there was a gentleman that lived at Timber Creek, and he was an actuarian who worked for life insurance companies. And what he had done was he had looked at the birth rates in Dover over the previous like 15 years. And what he determined was that, and back in those days, they used to list the name. If you one of the things is everybody always got their name in the town report book when you were born, but you also, your name was in there when you died too. And now it gives a number of births. It doesn't give actual names. But what he noticed was that although the names weren't always the same 4 to 5 years later after they were born when they entered the school, but the numbers were really, really close. So even though some families would move in or out, we always had about the same number. And we've kind of used that for a lot of years. And I think what we really should do, just to test the theory, is we should maybe look back over the last 10 years. I think that the COVID period is going to give us a little bit of a blip because our numbers really jumped during COVID. And that did help us a little bit for a few years. It was hard the first year when we had the larger increase of students, but we did, then a lot of parents, a lot of families left after COVID. But we still got paid for them from the state for a few years. So that's where that number came from, and that's why Bob used those, because that's what we've historically done in the past. So if we're okay on projections, then we want to go through the...
You want to start?
Sure.
So as Rich pointed, or Bob had pointed out, the very first column is where we are right now. This is what our schedule looks like. At our last meeting, there had been questions about what does that mean, time with kids and all that. So this is kind of the format we came up with. So comparing the present to Plan A, we have talked a bit about our pre-K program here. It's pretty small. This year we have one. And that really isn't a viable pre-K program, especially when the focus for pre-K is really social skills. So it's hard when they don't have any same-age peers. So our Plan A would eliminate the pre-K program. I know, I see sad faces. I'm not happy about it either, but if we're looking at what kids' needs are, I think it's important that we understand that piece. So then I was looking at the multi-grade configurations of having a K1 and a 1-2, a 3-4, and a 5-6. The reason I looked at the K1, 1-2 combination is that I'm a big advocate for early intervention, and I think kids tend to have gaps in different areas that sometimes is hard to address. But in this model, it would be more fluid. It would follow our MTSS model a little bit more, where we would look at skills attained over like 6 to 8 week periods through our progress monitoring and be able to move kids where they need to. Because we have some first graders that are almost at a third grade level, and we have some kindergartners that maybe just need a little extra. And I think this would give them that support. And so my hope would be, as they move into third grade, where they begin reading to learn as opposed to learning to read in K through 2, that they would be in a better academic place. Because once they're in third grade, if they're really struggling to read still, it's hard because the pace just quickens. And they can get lost very easily, and they end up needing more interventions, which means that sometimes they're missing some of the curriculum. So that was my thought there. The next one, the math interventionist, which we added this year, has been great for our multi-grade classrooms because, as you know, we've had a couple new curriculums instituted, and they're really grade-based, and so it becomes very difficult for teachers to kind of manage that. So having our math teacher be able to do alternate classes to kind of take that load off teachers so that they can focus on the other curricula has been really helpful. And also because they're an expert in math, being able to provide intervention in those areas. Our school counselor, we've been super fortunate the last few years to have a full-time school counselor, but to have a full-time counselor for 40 kids just seems a lot. I've worked in schools that have had 400 kids and they've had one counselor. Not that that's a great model either, but I think that if I had to save some money, I think that's where we'd be best going. We have SEL programs instituted in our MTSS program that the teachers are getting really, really good at. And I think that's where SEL really belongs. It's not a 30-minute once a week class. And to have a school counselor come in to be able to address maybe some small groups or some social skills or some other anger management needs a couple times a week would be adequate. Our nurse, which is 60% right now, it's working fine. She actually would be picking up more of the health instruction. If you go further down, right now our PE teacher teaches some health, and in this shift she would pick up more of the health. She's been starting that now, so I think that shift would be an easy shift for her. I'll talk about PE as we get down there. Principal would stay the same, admin assistant would stay the same. Do you want me to keep going all the way down? Or? Yep, okay. Paraeducators would stay the same. We've been really purposeful about training our paraeducators so that they can really support kids with more experience and more professional development. And so our PE health and health teacher, this is at her request, she's asked to cut back. She's getting close to retirement. And so she will cut back from, in this building, 2 full days a week to 2 half days. So she would do her PE. Kids would still get PE twice a week, as they have to have. She just wouldn't be doing health. That would be our nurse. Everything else would pretty much stay the same. I think one thing I love about Wardsboro is their commitment to unified arts and enrichment, and I think that's super important for kids because sometimes that's where they shine. So art would still be 1 day a week, library still 1 day a week, STEAM will continue, music would still continue, and AST and special ed is more a supervisory union piece. And laughter, we're still talking about laughter. I think you're up next, Tracy, right?
Yep, I'll go to Dover.
Yeah.
So, our Dover's follows the same format, whereas that first column is what's happening now, and the second column is what planning would look like for next year. Right now, we have 8 classroom teachers in grades pre-K to 6. We have a full-time counselor who also does lots of other things, like sits on the EST team, will take over academic 504s for next year, whereas the nurse does them all this year because our counselor's new this year, so she's still training on that. The counselor also is the person who does HHV and Title IX, so that's takes up a lot of time sometimes. We have 3 paraprofessionals, 1 that is designated for pre-K and 2 that are general education paras. 1 is full-time in the kindergarten and the other one is scheduled throughout the day in classes that need extra help. Full-time administrative assistant, full-time principal. We have foreign language, which is twice a week, PE, which is twice a week. Our library and health teacher will potentially be the same person next year, which reduces some benefit cost, so that we're not having to pay benefits to 2 people, but just 1, so that's a savings there. And then art and music stay the same. We have a full-time custodian and a full-time bus driver and maintenance person. So we, like Francesca said at Dover, like I really appreciate that Dover parents are really want the unified arts and find them that those are the things, like Francesca said, where kids shine sometimes when academic work can be difficult. So that's our plan A.
We'll take questions on that one first, or
Well, I think that's pretty much the dog and pony show is.
for Plan A, yeah.
We got to talk about Plan B.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was just-
okay, go ahead. do Plan B.
So, yeah, so for Plan B, the challenge here for the board was to come up with some opportunities for consolidation. And so I think as we met and talked about what some of those possibilities were, you know, some of the obvious challenges is how far apart the buildings are from each other. And that led to us drawing some simple conclusions at the start that we didn't want to have the really young kids going from one place to another. We wanted the youngest population to kind of stay in their home schools, if you will. But that led for the possibility of maybe having some of the older students shift and consolidate, and we have some class sizes that would allow for that to happen, frankly. So I'm gonna let these guys talk a little bit more about what that would look like, and maybe just highlight the changes, maybe, in your buildings.
In Plan B.
In Plan B,
Okay.
yeah.
So I've spent a lot of time talking to parents and teachers about the history of Wardsboro, and I know that a few years ago there was a conversation about the 6th grade going to Dover. When the board was talking, as Bob had mentioned, we kind of want to keep the littles close to home because Dover's not just around the block. So with that in mind, Plan B would still eliminate pre-K, have a combined K-1 class, another 1-2 class, same premise as before with the early intervention, and then have a 3-4 class, but send 5-6 to Dover, which had been a conversation that the board had talked about consolidating resources. Because of that, because of the reduction in numbers there, we would eliminate the math interventionist. We still need a counselor. We're required to have a counselor in the building, so that would go down to 1 day a week. I think, I can't remember the final numbers, but with this model, I think it was 30, right? 27. So, just being physically responsible, I just didn't feel like you would probably need a full-time principal for 27 kids. That was a hard decision to come by, but, it just seemed, it made sense in my mind. We would also eliminate a full-time para, and then the specials would all be cut kind of in half. So instead of Art being here all day, they would be here half a day. But we would also be losing our 5-6, which is our biggest cohort, really, at this point.
So just to jump in there, on those specials, would the students themselves receive the same?
Still be 45 minutes. So the kids
would
that
not
were
lose-
here,
Would not lose any of those
they're not
instructions.
losing time, it's just we're losing
Students.
numbers. So we wouldn't need a full-time person, a specialist here all day. We could do everything like in the morning or in the afternoon. And everybody would still have art for 45 minutes, but there would just be 3 classes. I think that's it, but that's not, I think that's the end of me.
So with Plan B at Dover, we would share a counselor potentially, and so there would be a counselor at Dover 4 days a week and here at Wardsboro 1 day a week. The nurse and paraprofessionals, admin assistant, principal all stay the same. Foreign language would be reduced to be the same as the other specials, where we would go from 2 45-minute classes a week to one time a week for 40 minutes. And then music would go to 1 day a week, where we might have to reduce the time that kids have in class if we still have a number of kids who want to play instruments. So in order to fit instrumental and music classes in, they might not be 40 minutes, but that's to still be determined. And then the last change would be, there's going to be potentially some busing situations that need to be figured out, which potentially would eliminate our high school run from Dover, and that would be a cost savings for River Valley's and our maintenance person.
And so in the last board meeting, you guys had two full drafts of budgets, one for Plan A, one for Plan B. People, we don't have it in this packet, but you can find it on the SU website or looking at the previous agenda.
They were high level,
Yeah. Yep.
The Plan A was a slight reduction from last year's budget, and Plan B was a bigger reduction, obviously.
So and I think we just want everybody to understand, no decisions have been made. The board doesn't feel one way or the other. We wanted to get this out early instead of at the school district meeting, start discussing it. And that way we thought if there were questions, we may not have answers, but we can find out the answers. So we're going to do the same thing in Dover in 2 weeks at our next meeting. And we're really looking for input, thoughts, questions, other ideas. I forget how many years ago we formed River Valleys with Wardsboro and Dover. And you remember we were originally looking at having Marlboro involved. Dwight and I served on that committee. There was a lot of, when we first found out it was just going to be Dover and Wardsboro, the superintendent at that time put together a proposal doing a pretty big combination. But the numbers really didn't justify it. And, if there was a joke, Randy Capitani, who was also on the committee, said we should be called connected by dirt roads, because there's no good paved road, even though we have a lot of common boundary between the two of us, Wardsboro and Dover. There's no good road to get from here to there. And I think that's part of, one of the things we've talked a lot about is, and Bob mentioned it, is, when our kids are younger, that's when they need mommy more, they need daddy more, they have accidents or they get wet on the playground, and it's hard to have them, 40 minutes away or 50 minutes away. So that was one of the things we never thought about, just closing a building, but we feel like maybe there could be some consolidation. But again, we want to hear from you all. The other thing is, Mount Snow is looking at doing away with their daycare, and I know that's affecting a lot of families. The one good thing about the Dover campus, the Dover building, that a lot of people forget is that it's the only school in Wyndham Central that is on a sewer system. You know, I know those of you in Wardsboro who have students here know that you had to close recently because you had a sewer pump issue. We don't get that in Dover because it all flows downhill. It's gonna be a long time before it ever backed up in our building up there. But the building's a bigger building. We have a lot of land there too. We have 20 some odd acres. So there is room in the building too, where I think that Wardsboro is expanding. I don't think we can expand the building anymore. I know there's been some discussion about that, and I think the last edition kind of maxed out what you can do here, or what we can do here. We also kind of talked about maybe building something in between, you know, draw a straight line and kind of get something on the border, but again, it's not really good roads, and the state has not come up with any monies for, you know, to assist with capital construction. So that, you know, there's some drawbacks, but we're open to any thoughts, any ideas, any comments. We're gonna turn it over to Sarah to kind of moderate it, have, you know, anything you all want to say, and then we're gonna take some really good notes. If you have questions, we'll try to get answers for it, you know, at the next meeting, the meeting after. And then the last thing that I just would like input on, if we could too, is on the IB program. Last year we had the staff at the Dover campus ask us about maybe not having the IB anymore. The EL was taking a lot of effort on staff. We have done some surveys, and we'd just like to hear if anybody has any comments on that also. So those are the things, and we'll let Sarah set your guidelines and turn it over to her.
So just, I'm just gonna ask you to raise your hand, and when I call on you to give your name, so whoever's taking minutes will know, will be able to associate that. So does anybody have any questions that they want to raise, any comments they want to make? Am I gonna be standing here for any other short period of time?
Well, till these things.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Nicole Ray. I guess I just have a question between Plan A and Plan B. Like, at what point would you decide if we're doing one or the other or a combination? Like, how does that work?
So what we're looking to do is we're looking to get input from everybody, and then we'll make a proposal with our budget and at the annual district meeting in April.
Okay, so like bits and pieces of each one or whatever.
It could be some, it could be like a Chinese menu. You can have one from column A and one from column B. It may be that we don't do anything, and there'll be some natural changes anyways, just, you know, from year to year, there's different requirements. You know, there is a minimum class sizing that was part of the law that was passed last year. We don't know if we're gonna see maps from the legislature that maybe would just combine us anyways, or say that, you know, we have to take on Jamaica, Wardsboro, Marlboro, and Stratton. But for right now, we're looking for what you all want, for what the parents, the taxpayers, the voters, and the people in town are looking for. So we would like any suggestions. If you heard something today that just is so objectionable you couldn't stand for it, we'd like to hear that. Or maybe we didn't suggest enough, maybe there's other things that people thought about that we could make it. We know there were some parents that were upset with the smaller class sizes because they didn't feel their children were getting the social, thank you, that word. And then, you know, there were some parents that like the small groups. There's people on all ends of the spectrum, so. But we're gonna work on that with the budget, and we'll be taking input, you know, right up to when we put a final budget together. Andy's gonna tell us a little bit what that's gonna be, but we're shooting for sometime the middle of February to have a proposal.
Anyone else have any?
We should go through.
Andy?
Just a couple clarifying questions, quick questions. So in Wardsboro, A and B, when you talk about a K1 class and a 1-2 class, so those first graders, there will be different curriculums for those two sets of first graders based on need? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, it's what they need. We run several, we have a new EL program that in Wardsboro we have We have a cycle that we go through to try and get the kids through each module. Because it's new, we're not really sure what the high leverage stuff is yet in each module. But that's what we're teasing out this year so that we'd have a better idea next year. I guess the intent in my mind is to be able to have the ability to move kids back and forth depending on what their needs are. Because at that age, it changes so quickly depending on the level of instruction they're getting.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I continue? Let's see, another question was, so in Dover, the way it's presented there in that first row, when you have 8 classroom teachers, does that mean that you have one teacher for each grade, one teacher in pre-K, one in kindergarten, one in first, one? Okay, cool. And in Dover, under Plan B, you would be accepting kids from Wardsboro in 5-6. So my only question or concern might be reducing the foreign language teacher if you're going to have potentially more kids wanting that instruction. I was curious as to why that choice.
Because basically it came from PE is the only unified arts class that's required twice a week. The rest of them, it's once a week, and so we were reducing Spanish to match art and music and library. And
I think there was an eye on the consolidation, but also on the fiscal side of it as well.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Andy, just to your first question too, it wasn't all that long ago in Dover that we had combined grades in the lower levels too. You would do a kindergarten 1 and a 1-2, and students that were doing really well could maybe go to 1-2, while students that still needed some more help were in the K1. And then when Susan Mack was there, she wanted very strongly to have a strong kindergarten, preschool kindergarten 1 and 2 program. I think Francesca said it, you know, when you have to learn to read, and then you read to learn. And she was stressing really the importance of having students be able to read by the time we got to 3rd or 4th grade. That was part of our, trying to reduce our special ed costs, because at one time Dover had the highest special ed cost per pupil in the entire state. And UVM sent professors down and interview and, look into it, and that was one of her ways to do that.
Cool. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has any questions or comments? Your name?
I'm Dave Meeker, I'm a Wardsboro parent. There's a fair bit to discuss, but one of the things that was touched on briefly was the laughter program. I know that is very tangential to our actual in-school situation, but I just want to go on record and stress how critical that program is to working families in our town. Not only from the standpoint of giving us an extra hour and a half to complete our work and everything like that, but Amy Horning in particular has done a tremendous job at stepping that program up and offering some terrific opportunities for our kids to learn new things and do some really cool things. And the value goes far beyond convenience for parents. It's actually been good for the kids. And I just wanted to throw an endorsement for that to not go anywhere, not shrink, and please.
And I don't think the intent was ever to get rid of laughter, it's
Okay.
just looking at the cost. I think that there's some areas that we could look at for cost. Because I agree with you, I've even told the board that we have the highest participation rate, I think,
The whole issue.
in the whole SU. And I would never, ever want to lose that, for sure. And I totally agree with you about Amy.
Yeah, and if there's a additional parents can help provide funding for that or something like that. There's other options to keep status quo.
Absolutely.
And additionally, just with speaking of our school situation, this is a very difficult discussion to have. I mean, we're talking about a community hub. and shrinking community hub, and a community hub potentially no longer existing because our enrollment appears to be, in the future going down. It doesn't make sense to have kids here. I can see it both ways. There's having a class with, if your kid only has 2 or 3 other kids in it, that's difficult. Like the social aspect of that is, there's a little advantage to this. But there's also a lot of advantage to having a school in your town, having your community have a school. And I think from a macro level, that is something that is critically important to any town to have. For families to be considering moving to Vermont, I think that's speaking to families that have moved here in the last few years, the school and what they've heard about the school is part of the reason that attracted them. Because it's not easy to live in. Let's face it, it's an inconvenient place to live. It's beautiful, we have a great community, with great people, but we do not have convenience. What we do have is a terrific school. And so, members don't like it, so that's it's a hard conversation. That's why I really go on that. So, I think that's all I say.
Thank you.
Dana Cerise, Dover resident, Wardsboro mom. I guess my question is for perhaps Bob and or Tracy. It's not about budget or services. It's how can you assure me that my children will be safe attending Dover School, given the fact that they weren't able to complete the year and have moved here?
Well, I guess I would say we have, the best answer I can give is without getting into any specifics, obviously, I can't do that. But we have policies and procedures that we follow that are the same policies and procedures in both buildings. So in theory, the level of safety should be exactly the same between the 2 buildings. We have different personnel, which plays out maybe differently as far as personalities go, but I would say that it should be the exact same experience. And so that's the best answer I can give you.
Okay.
So, because I think feeling safe, whether you're talking about physical or emotional safety, is a perspective. And so everybody has their own perspective on that. So it's hard for me to guarantee what your perspective might be.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Just like all students learn differently.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So we have to meet the needs of all students.
Yep.
However, my children's needs and services were not addressed at Dover School. The list, and I'd be happy to provide it to the board, is long and it's quite egregious. I'm so thankful that this woman and that woman who received a broken, hurt and scared child here and have begun to heal her. I don't know what my family will do if my children are forced to attend Dover Elementary. So perhaps the principal, who can't even make eye contact with me, would like to address that.
I would echo what Bob said, that there are procedures and policies that have to be followed. Sometimes they can make a mom feel a certain way, but it's my obligation to follow through with those.
Oh no, these aren't feelings, these actually facts that happened.
Okay, Bob, and I'm sorry, but we can't speak about specific incidents.
No, again, it's a safety issue. I wanted to know how they can assure the children that now go from Wardsboro back to Dover, so my kid isn't the only one that was moved from that school, will be safe.
Okay. So I think Bob addressed that.
That's right, answer.
If you're not happy with something that happened specifically, then we can address that. There's different channels though, but that's something we can't talk about in public. So it creates difficulty for staff to put them on a spot like that, because it's very easy for them to fall into a trap where they say something that they're not supposed to say. So
Well, I do know that.
If we need to have that discussion, we can have that later, Dana.
Great. I have another question. So we sign a handbook for kids and they have to, abide by certain rules. Is there a certain handbook that the teachers also need to sign? And standards that they're held to and rules that they're held to? And is that available to the public?
If you have a problem with something with the staff, there's a procedure for that too.
No, my question is there a handbook that
There's
staff
standards
signs?
that the staff has to abide by, and that if you don't feel that they're doing something that was proper, then there's a channels that you can go through, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you about that.
Please do. I'd love to look at that information.
Okay,
Thank you.
but we do have a policy for that.
I'd love to read the policy.
Yeah, it's a very simple policy, but I can get you a copy
Thank you,
of that.
sir. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So we have somebody online with their
Well-
hand up. Kara Conway?
Oh, okay.
Hey there. I just wanted to follow up and echo Dana's concern. We had a child who had an abusive situation at Dover School, and this merger puts us in a situation where we would potentially have to, our younger child who we moved out of Dover due to the issues there, would potentially be in a situation where our hands would be tied and we would essentially be being forced in a number of years to send them to Dover. So my caution to the board is not to consider a situation where the serial issues that occur at the Dover School related to safety, emotional, physical, and otherwise, they can't maintain the children they currently have, and to further tax them by adding children to those numbers would be unethical. And to force families to be in a situation where they have to put their children either in an unsafe environment or to homeschool is also unethical. So I think it's important to recognize the problems that are inherent at the Dover School and to not force families who have actively chosen to remove their children from that toxicity to, have no other choice. Thank you.
Is there anybody else online?
No.
I can't see.
No, there isn't.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the room? Yes, your name?
Yeah, hi, I'm Corinne Martin. I'm a Woodsboro parent. I've already shared some thoughts with the board via email. I think that we can make a lot of these changes without losing any of the students in this building. And I hope that the board and the people in the SU office will consider those. There was mention of the minimum class sizes. I don't know if, I did see something about a requirement that only 2 grades can be combined. I don't know when that goes into effect, if that's for next year or if that's an in-future thing, like a lot of the rest of us.
Next year.
Next year? Okay. So then that shoots a hole in the K-1-2 option that I was hoping might be able to be a possibility in this building. And while I totally appreciate what we're looking at to keep younger kids close to home, I think you have to look at the specifics. That's 1 child. And the 5-6 is 11 or 12 children. So next year, this building is looking at losing 50% of its students. And then if you take the 5-6 and move them to Dover, we're losing another 50% of our students. And that doesn't really leave a student body and a community and a school cohort here, I don't think. I'm concerned about that and the slippery slope that it presents. And I think, given that the rising kindergartner also has a student that would be affected by the move of the 5-6, who knows what the end result of that would be. Maybe they want to keep their kids in the same building, and then it's a non-issue. And I understand you need to make high-level decisions, but there are also real families that I think you can look at and see the writing on the wall and what that might do. And then additionally, when we were talking about moving the 6th grade to Dover a few years ago, the overwhelming sentiment was that families did not want to move their children for a year or 2 to a new school and then have to move again to a middle school. We're already not going to offer pre-K under either of these options. So what are the chances of those new students then coming back to Woodsboro? We're going to continually face really low numbers in our lower grades. So I think there's a way around this, and I think we can keep a lot of the kids here and still cut the same amount of staffing positions and keep the budget manageable. I mean, I'm a taxpayer, I want the best for our kids, but I also don't want to keep my taxes going up by, 100% every year for the last 3 years.
Just to respond to the class size piece, it is for next school year. There are no more than 2 per grade, but there's also exceptions built into the law on following the minimum class size if you're in a highly rural area. And while that hasn't been defined yet fully, just knowing how the state is laid out, my sense is that Warrensboro would probably be one of those areas, and so we wouldn't necessarily be tied to meeting those class size minimums. The repercussions would be on the financial side, obviously.
No, I was talking more about I thought that only 2 grades could be combined. Like, we could combine K1, 2. I'm not talking about minimum students per class.
Oh, okay, well, that law has both parts to that, so, yeah.
And then corollary to that would be, has there been any conversation or thought about also combining some grades? If we're going to do a K1 and a 1-2 here, is there a line at Dover where you could take 3 grade levels and combine them into 2 by splitting some? Because they have some pretty small classes too.
So that was not part of the calculus that we had, because particularly in Plan B, there's more students going to Dover, so those grades you'd have less reason to merge.
We have like the 2, 3, 4.
Sure, yeah, I think.
Like less than 30 students for 3 grades.
Yeah, I think that, you certainly could. I would say that the Warrensboro teachers would probably back me up if I say this, is that teaching a multi-grade class is really challenging. And so we do that here really out of necessity, and Marlboro is the same way, just because of size and necessity. But in the schools that are big enough to not be required to do that, it's certainly better, I think, educationally for the students to have it in a single grade classroom. So to move that to multi-grade just to save money or to do the same thing you're doing in another place is probably not what I would recommend educationally. Just knowing it, how hard it is, I guess. It's not really an answer, but it's the best I got for you, sorry.
But I do believe you sent us something before our last meeting.
I did.
Yeah, and we do have that in our packet, and we did share it, but we also thought this would be a good time for these other things. And you also made a comment that there's got to be I can't put words in your mouth, but that there should be another way to do it or something. So do you have that other way? Do you have any thoughts?
I think I just shared.
So what's that? I guess I missed it then.
Well, I think that I was hoping we could combine K1, 2 and keep one kindergartner here next year.
Okay.
If that is not a possibility, we could still go to 3 classrooms in this building by only affecting 1 student instead of 11 or 12.
Okay, so moving on.
Well, my concern is that if you're already not going to offer pre-K here, if those pre-K students start at Dover or somewhere else, they're not going to come here anyway. Those kids haven't started in this building yet or haven't been here for long, whereas you're talking about moving 5th and 6th graders who've been here for 5-6 years, and then they're going to have to transition to yet another school right after. So as a parent, when we had this issue come up, now I'm repeating myself, the 6th grade families did not want to do that. So I could see a lot of the families who were asking to move their kids to Dover for 1 or 2 years, not wanting to do that and seeking other opportunities and options. And then really cutting into our student body here. That's my biggest concern. I think once the bleeding starts, it's hard to stop.
Is there anyone else? I'm not seeing any other hands, so I'll turn this back over to Rich. We don't have any more comments or questions.
We're almost at the time, so we really appreciate them.
Sorry, I have one more question.
Yes.
If we come up with other ideas or other questions, is there a good email that we can email you guys?
Yeah, if you send it to the building, whichever building administrator, and just let them know, or you can send it to the superintendent's office, and he'll bring it. I can't remember where we got yours from. I think you sent it to.
I asked Kate where I should send it to, and I emailed you and Kate.
It would be really good if maybe we'll send it to Bob, the central office, and then that way he makes sure we get it in case one of us is starting that or something.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and again, we're gonna do this again in 2 weeks in Dover, And then we're gonna have probably 2 meetings in February to discuss the budget too. So, definitely please come to those and please give us your input at those too. Because it isn't an easy thing to do at all. So it's gonna be a tough road to hoe for a little while. Or convince 100 families to move into the area and it'll be fine.
20 would be a good start.
You guys push it through, or should we wait till later?
No, go
I
ahead.
don't think there's anybody else from the floor.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Thanks. I had a question about, I guess it's for the principal, I suppose. So if I understand correctly, Plan B will move the 5 and 6 students to Dover, and Plan A is just showing slight reductions compared to larger reductions in Plan B. Is that correct? Okay, so what I don't understand is why the reductions, particularly in the Dover case, happen in Plan B when there are more students there. In other words, for Dover, there's only one change, and that's actually an increase in the library if we keep the structure the same. Whereas in Plan B, when there are more children, you're seeing reductions in the counselor, foreign language, music, and somehow the bus driver, even though they'd be driving the kids back and forth. So my question is, shouldn't those reductions be in Plan A? And then Plan B would have more services needed for more children?
These guys can jump in, but the short version, the short answer to that is that Plan B was also trying to be a little tighter fiscally.
Would Plan A also try to reduce costs?
Yes, but Plan B was more. And so we tried to find more places that could be reduced, potentially.
Okay. So we could theoretically have those reductions also in Plan A.
Yeah, I think as Rich mentioned, this is not an either or.
Yeah.
And nor do I want to suggest that the administration favors one or the other, or any of them, frankly.
Yeah.
But just coming up with ideas that were possible, yeah. And fiscally responsible, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I think it's backwards, but that's just my opinion. And same thing kind of with Wardsboro. I guess we're losing 2 grades, but all of these services are being cut in half. So I guess, I don't know if it is 2 grades, it's half students, but music is cut in half, STEAM's cut in half, library's cut in half, art's cut in half, PD health half, our educator half, principal half, school counselor half. So I'm just wondering if that's, maybe it's just because 1 day, 2 days to 1 day, maybe, but,
Yeah,
I think it'd be more proportional if possible for the kids and, as well. But my bigger concern is for cost savings, we're obviously going to see a much larger cost savings with all these reductions. So I think it would be, to compare apples to apples, I'll recommend during the budget process that all of these also be in Plan A so we can get a better sense for apples to apples.
Yeah. And just on the specials in Plan B in Wardsboro, they're cut in half. But the students themselves, because as was pointed out, half as many kids would still receive the same amount of instruction.
Right.
There's just fewer kids to have to give it to.
Yeah.
And so the teachers themselves you wouldn't need as much staff to do that.
I suppose that, library's cut in half, so that's still less time that the students that are there have access to the library. Okay. That's my
Well, their
question.
specials would be the same number of minutes, it's just half the kids. So we would be able to fit everybody in half a day. They'd still have the same 45 minutes. As Karina said, we moved 5, 6 out, that's half our kids. So,
Thank you.
Was there anything else? Yes.
So I think the point that Rich made that I really want to make sure that people heard is that we're talking about this again at our next meeting in 2 weeks at Dover. So make sure that everybody else knows, talk to your friends, talk to the people your neighbor that may have a 3-year-old rising up, make sure people are talking about it and being part of the conversation. Because it's not like the board is sitting here and being like, oh, well, we really think that this is it and that's it. We are trying to do the work for the community. We don't have a preconceived this is exactly what we want. We want to do right by the kids and by the community and provide the best education we can for our children. So make sure that people know that so they can be part of the conversation.
Yes?
Hi, sorry, Corinne. I just have one more point. I don't know if what you meant was that my email was just in the packet to the board members.
No, we discussed at the last meeting.
Right, but the other idea that I had, that I did communicate to the board, was if we wanted to keep the K students close to home, then just the 6th grade, which is the typical middle school class grade, could be moved. And then that would keep a lot more of our students in the building. We'd still have 3 classrooms, K1, 2, 3, 4, 5, same amount of reductions with much less upheaval to everyone. And if those families wanted to move on and go to a middle school right away for 6th grade and they could sort that out, they could, but it wouldn't affect both grades and keep all of our kids here, including the kindergarten.
If we cut like the 6th grade, like would we have to cut it for both and go to that in order to?
I think we could probably not do that. Because we were gonna be able to send, when we were thinking of doing something in 6th grade, we were just gonna send the 6th graders, and we were able to allow them to go to the middle school.
You'd have to pay tuition earlier, but yeah, I think you could allow for that. It would be under the statute where parents can request from the board a geographically convenient school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could probably do that.
Or families just might make that choice. We all have.
No, but,
Free will.
you could, but you can do it on your own, but for the district to pay for it, you can, if you want to pull your child out, you can send your child anywhere you want to go and pay tuition.
And I'm not asking the board to do that, I'm just saying.
What we're discussing is could we say to the Wardsboro parents with 6th graders, you have your choice. You can do that and we'll pay the tuition.
Yeah.
So yes, I think.
I hope that you will consider that right before Act 73 goes into effect and give one more class their opportunity to be grandfathered into their choice of school.
I guess I'm lost.
If you cut 6th grade at both elementary schools, you give one more 6th grade class an opportunity to move into a true middle school and then be grandfathered with school choice.
Is there any other comments? Anybody from the board want to weigh in one more time before we wrap this up? I've got 6:04, which we were supposed to end at 6 and then go into the regular board meeting at 6 o'clock, right? So without any further comments, I'm going to call for an adjournment.
No, we're not.
We're not going to
No,
adjourn, we're
it's
just
not
going to
a
slide
special
right in.
meeting.
Oh, it's not
It's
special.
part of the board meeting. We just
Okay.
asked you to come so we
Okay.
could pay more attention. If there was 100 people here and they all wanted to make comments, if we could take notes, we're just trying to absorb what we said.
Okay.
So,
Well then, I would encourage you to come back and take your head seat here. And I'll sit down.
thank you.
Thank you.
Should so bad. Mitch, hey, Katrina. Okay, so we're struggling with Christmas Eve. Yeah, this, what you said about 6th grade, give them 6th grade. Yeah, no, budget. If you can break that up in here, so I can keep it, you can go wrong. Put sure you have it right. First, not be not be well, if you're rehearsal.
6th graders. Next year, 6th graders.
Yeah. They can't really hear the board meeting on the TV. So, you know, I got a text.
Oh, I can.
You can't hear.
That's what it's facing.
Yeah, we need to have a discussion about that, because if we become non-operating, the student still gets the same choice they have for 7th grade, for 6th grade. But to become non-operating in our whole district, for 6th grade, we have to ask you a vote of both parents. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's.
Yeah, I'm just saying, let's say, so the person in 6th grade needs to go to wherever he wants to go.
Right.
They need these bigger districts and they only work.
Yeah, but they never, for that to be free, they never change, it doesn't change. Suppose it can't change the makeup of the school, that's what we have district, because the input haven't changed.
Right, that's how that's what we've been doing. It's not trying to.
No, that's right, but Act 73, it doesn't matter, Barbara.
In our kids, we have to go over a
No, they don't be here, no, it's supposed to be. No, they wouldn't. So that was a different thing.
How can not work on
Sixth graders.
So
So anyways, we're in our regular board meeting, and we have members of the public, members of the staff, but I'm gonna just ask if it's okay. I promised Andy he wouldn't have to stay all night. So, I know he loves meetings, and there's nothing he'd rather do than sit here all night with us. But, timeline for adoption articles, I'd like to bump old business, the budget planning input on the, timeline for adoption. And if everybody's okay with that, I know you sent a calendar, and we were looking at our annual meeting, the River Valley's annual meeting is April 28th. The election's on April 27th, and usually in the middle of February, we have to have our paperwork out. So Andy, you wanna just kind of go over what you...
Sure. So this is the calendar I sent to you folks. Bob and his team took that calendar and made it more specific right here to your needs within this framework.
Does it actually align? Because
It
this
does.
was prepared first. So I'm hoping it
was
doesn't. It wasn't in
I
response
checked
to
it
it.
out.
We haven't actually looked at it, yours yet.
Okay, it seemed, I looked at it while everybody was talking, and it looked good to me. So basically, with the annual meeting, we voted a number of years ago to make that the last Tuesday in April, have a Australian ballot election and or public question vote if needed on the day before, on the 27th. So that drives all these dates, basically. If you sign your warning on the 16th of March, which means you have a budget number for your warning, if there are any voter-generated petitions for articles to be included on that warning, they need to be to my office and or the Woodsboro Town Clerk's office on the 12th, the Thursday prior. But hopefully you have a warning all together ready to sign on the 16th, because that's your last meeting prior to the date, the drop dead date for posting the warning, which is the 27th. Now, if you sign it on the 16th, that gives Bob's team more time to get together and put the report together, which needs to include your warning. And that's important. So even though we're posting the warning, the last day is on the 27th, if it's at all possible for you to sign your warning on the 16th, that's good, because getting that report together is not a small task, and it needs to be done in this district, because it is one of the ways that you statutorily warn the meeting. You're not just posting things in a local paper. You have to get those reports distributed by the deadline down there in April. Let's see, so we post the warning after you sign it, and then I'll have ballots ready 20 days prior to the election, probably before that, but that's my deadline statutorily on the 7th of April. People can request absentee ballots at that point if they want. Then we will warn in the paper, which isn't required because you're distributing the warning in the reports, but we always have in the past, and people are used to it, so you have in the past. We get that to the Deerfield Valley News on that Tuesday, and it will appear in their edition that comes out on the 17th. People will see it on that weekend and be warned to, hey, let's go to the pre-annual meeting on Monday the 20th, and then town meeting, school meeting on the 28th, vote on the 27th.
Is everybody good? It seems easier now than it did in the past.
I think we did a good job because it works.
Does anybody have any questions for Andy?
Just glad I made good guesses on some of those.
Yeah, nice job.
Well, that also ties in with the meetings that we discussed at our last meeting. So if, I don't know if you saw the agenda on the bottom, those all line up with the annual meeting.
Oh, do they?
timeline too. Yeah.
You guys don't even need me anymore.
That's right. No, we do, because you have to actually do it. I mean, you have to, certify and stuff. So when do petitions need to be into you for people that want to run?
Okay, so the office petitions to get your name on a ballot, that's the same day that you sign the warning, like that meeting date on the 16th of March. The 16th of March. It's the 6th Monday prior to an election, basically. And so that happens to be the day. I emailed petition forms to you folks, but didn't I, or was that my town meeting folks?
I think that went out, didn't it?
No,
you did
it was
town
town meeting people. All right, so I will email you at some point a petition form. And you had asked me who was up.
Oh, no, I was confirming that it was Kate and Mike.
It is, yes. And so I'll get those permission forms to you. I'll have hard copies in my office and hard copies in Wardsboro for anybody else who wants to run.
And how many signatures do they need now? Do you remember? It's like 40?
Well, in Dover, it's 14.
Oh, it
in
goes
Wardsboro, it's a good deal less. So I want to say, 20 is probably safe, 20, 25.
But they can be a voter in either town, or not?
So it can be a voter in either town.
Okay.
Yes, because we're all nominating, we're all voting for both positions, even though it's required that one person running be from Dover and the other person running be from Wardsboro. The whole district is electing both of them.
Okay. So is that as clear as mud to everybody? Yeah, I'm saying, I can't wait until I have to get my petition through.
That's the hardest part of the job for the signatures.
Well, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, like we had to do a significant number.
Yeah.
Well,
We didn't tell them the law.
That was onerous.
Yeah. And it's,
That was difficult. Yeah.
it was like 2.5 pages.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Over 3 pages, actually. It was like 19 on a page. Okay, so Andy, we really appreciate everything you do with this, and I think we should be able to do this really easily for you. You got any questions?
No, I think we're good.
Yep.
Is the board all set? Did Mike join us?
No.
Okay. Meredith, are you all set? Did that all make sense to you?
It is. Is there any way to make it a little bit like it got harder to hear about a couple minutes ago? I had someone else say that to me as well.
Okay. I think the doors slamming and stuff, and people were talking in the back, they were talking out of turn. So Bob sent them to the timeout corner.
Good job, Bob.
It's
Okay,
called the reset.
the reset.
It's called the reset.
Okay, they went to the reset corner. Okay, so we're all good, Andy?
Good.
I really appreciate it. Hope you make it home. I mean, I heard we're supposed to get, 2 to 3 feet of snow tonight.
I would love that, that would be great.
I don't like you anymore.
One last thing, nice job with the public meeting and soliciting public input. And you handled it well, and thank you, Sarah. Tough topic to address. And you didn't have to solicit public opinion this far in advance.
We want to because
You want to,
there could
and-
be some big changes.
Yeah.
And people still, I've had people say to me, well, you can't, you should just close the school. And I'm like, we can't just close the school. And we're not just gonna close the school. And there's a whole bunch of rules that go along with that. And people forgot that you can't just close, to close the school, you need a vote of the town in which schools will be closed. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Getting out this far ahead of it though, with the soliciting public information, good on you guys.
And it's also gonna be interesting, because again, I'd like having the meeting in April, because I'm hoping that if the legislature decides to push forward with a map of something that they couldn't come to an agreement on, though, it gives us some time to act and shuck and jive and protect our students and our voters. So we'll see what happens. Thank you, buddy.
All right, thanks, folks.
Hey,
You want to ride?
well, take away my passenger.
Oh, and I got a sign-in sheet for whoever's,
Oh,
I guess it would go to
I'll send
Meredith.
it to Meredith. Okay, so moving right along, so we can get everybody out before we get 2 feet of snow. Members of the public, folks, that was kind of a more directed thing, but we always have a members of the public just on general. Anything else, either one of you have any other comments, questions?
Looking forward to our great year for sports on Thursday.
Who's that?
Thank you for taking that on. It's a
You?
big job.
Hey,
We
Kate.
appreciate it.
I can't see because the screen is a little
Do you
more
want me to go
funky.
through everybody?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we got,
All right, so Patrick LaGrange.
No comment from me, thank you.
Am I just going through everybody?
yeah, just run through
Okay.
the public.
Bridget Cole.
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Kendra Urquhart.
Nothing here.
Alan Block.
I'm good, thank you.
Janet Rivers.
I'm okay, thanks.
I'm gonna skip Greg for a minute.
Oh,
Mark Cerise.
I'm good, nothing I can say in public at the moment.
Thea Dringus, I assume. Thea.
some muted.
She is muted.
All good here, thank you.
That's Thea Dringus. Scott Salway.
I'm good, thank you guys.
Dale Sherman.
Okay, thank you.
Anne Marie Scott. Anne Marie Scott. All right, you want to talk to Greg now?
Was Greg specific to something here?
Oh, there he is.
No, I was just here to say hi,
Hi,
because I missed Bob.
you ready for that getting ready for 2 or 3 feet of snow?
Always.
Okay, I guess you covered members of the public and members of the staff. So IB committee, next steps. Where are we at, Bob, the IB committee?
Well, Renee came last time, I think shared out some of the data from the committee, from the survey. And I think at this point, the IB committee is looking for direction. Is there more to their task than just doing the survey? We know they're not tasked with providing a recommendation. At the beginning, we talked about them sort of being clinical, just reporting out as much information as they could. Is there more information that you would like? Are you looking for a larger presentation from them? What is it that the board would like? And we can direct them to do whatever it is you like.
Why don't we turn this over to you and Meredith, since you were the board rep. So what more information do you guys need so that we can have a discussion? And is it something you think the committee can get? Is it something administration needs to get? And we should have plan an IB discussion at our next meeting.
So I guess, what information does the board feel that they need to have a robust discussion? And like ultimately, it comes down to what isn't it a Dover choice, like a voters' Dover choice to have?
No, it's a River Valley.
It's a River Valley.
It's going to have to be a River Valley
That's
choice.
So it's a River Valley's choice on whether or not we move forward with IB. What is the goal and the timeline? Do we want to put something like on a ballot?
I think it wants to be on for the annual meeting in April.
Okay, so then we're looking at a similar timeline to what Andy just presented
Right.
for articles, so mid-March.
Yes.
So what information do people need in order for us to meet that timeline?
Meredith has her hand up.
Go ahead, Meredith. You and Kate have the floor.
I think we were talking about, are you talking about combining the meeting with the annual like having this just roll into the annual meeting?
No, it's going to be part of it's going to be an article at the annual meeting that we're going to ask the voters to vote on, whether they want to continue the program or not.
I think it might be important to have some kind of an informational meeting before that with the parents at Dover, at least, so that they understand what's going on. I feel like there could be a lack of I don't think everyone is well informed on what's going on. I also think that it would benefit us if we are going to present the information to people to talk about what it would take to keep the program going. And because I don't think that that's been addressed at all, like what we're missing, what needs to happen, and how we would, ramp things back up again if we were to do that. Because I think it's pretty one-sided right now. And I don't think we have a lot of information on how, if we were to do it, if people ask, because, there were a number of parents that did respond to the survey that believe that it was a really strong part of the school and a reason that they were attending there. So I think that it's just important to make sure that we have all the information rather than only like the reason why it's not going forward right now, if that makes sense.
You good with that?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So just to echo what Meredith said, like doing an informational meeting with Dover, and then you also, so I guess my question to Meredith would be, like, so you want to get clarification on what we're currently missing if we do choose, if the River Valley's community chooses to keep the program and move forward, like what are the next steps and what do we need to do to keep it?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. I think that, because when we talked about pausing the program, they talked about that next year would be the evaluation and that they would be able to come in and maybe assist us in moving forward with us if that's the direction that we chose.
It's possible.
So I think that there's a lot of information that we don't have ready to present to the parents if we did have an informational meeting.
Is Alan yelling in the background at you, Meredith?
Nope, I locked him out.
Oh, good. Hang on a second, Bob. Tracy,
Yep.
how much time would you need to be able to get that information, and who would be the one to get us that information?
I can work with Bridget and Crystal, and we could probably get it together fairly quickly.
Do you think we could have it for the meeting on the 19th?
Sure.
Because we're gonna be in Dover, so maybe we can do that as part of, we'll do the meeting on the plans and the enrollment, and then we'll also dedicate some time to IB at the same time, if that works for people. Meredith, does that work for you?
Yes.
And Katie, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Lon.
Well, I'm just gonna say that we should, like a one-pager that would describe what it is, what it's not, and what would happen moving forward in either direction, so that people would know. Like, because it isn't just I mean, it's a binary choice, but it's also the implications on both sides. There's implications on both sides that people should know about. Like, if you do this, then you're gonna get X, Y, and Z. If you do this, you're gonna get A, B, and C. Having that kind of spelled out in a one-pager that also has some basic terms about what it is in layman's terms that people would be able to understand, I think would probably be a good starting place for that. And that's, these guys could develop that, is what I was gonna suggest, actually.
Okay.
So can you set that up like a choose your own adventure book? Like if we choose the IB adventure, this is what it looks like, and if we choose to let go of the program, this is what it looks like.
Yeah, no, I think my imagining was like at the top, like this is what it is, just so people have a really understand like what it means to be an IB school, what it should look like, what it could look like. And then under that one column, it's like if we go the route of voting, whatever direction your language of your vote is, that we don't have it, that this is what, the reason that we wouldn't have it is this, and here's what the focus of the school would be, and here's how it would play itself out. And on the other side would be, if you vote to keep it, as you said, what is needed to bring it up to speed, and what would it look like? So that kind of like a tree.
So you can get, you can help Tracy with that.
I just did.
I'm good.
I try to
I
get.
can help too
if you need that.
Thanks,
The
Dorothy.
19th, the 19th is a holiday.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to that.
What?
We're gonna come back to that.
Oh, sorry.
I think, so it's still a question.
Are we good with IB? Everybody okay? Cool. Budget planning input. We talked about enrollment projection. We had a moderated district meeting. And we had a timeline. I think we're in pretty good shape there. So my kind of vision is that after our next meeting, then we'll be able to kind of have some direction to start putting numbers to your budget.
Do you, I mean, there's an interest, I guess, in having what was presented today to be the same thing you presented in Dover?
But I think we got some input from people.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, is since you've had some input, do you want us to revisit Plan A, Plan B, and have something different? Or do you want to try to be the same and get
No, it
presented?
doesn't have to be the same, because we had Dover parents, I think, here, right? On
So
TV.
we could present an evolved version of that.
Right, no, that's what I think we should.
Okay, all right.
Because, I mean, I don't expect them to come back and say the same thing over again to
But
make sure it's covered.
But the board, just to be clear, we can do that. The board still wants there to be a consolidation effort, and one that does not have a consolidation effort? Is
I
that,
think your Plan A and Plan B is still good, just take the input that we got.
okay.
And I think, pardon?
And you want to see?
No, I think he's saying changing the A and B to reflect the input we got, but keeping
Right.
structurally.
And I think we
Conceptually.
need to look into the one suggestion about the sixth grade.
Yeah.
And maybe the classes, and I don't know if, I don't remember, with that report, I sent you a copy of that report on small by necessity, or,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Study that yet, but
but the legislature, we.
they have to adopt it. Or does the state board of ed adopt
I
it?
think we adopted, so we need to find that out too,
Yeah.
because that was a good point. And I think also just looking at, I think the point made that if we start taking out, then it's gonna be sort of like a Jamaica thing.
Yeah, I think that's a
So-
huge fear.
So a question about the tuition piece. Do we want that available to sixth graders in both schools or only Warrensburg?
Well, again, I don't know what we can do and how we do that, so.
Okay.
Well, I think that needs a little research by you, Bob. Because Dover may be not, and I don't know if they're gonna go by district or by building, so would small by necessity be for the district or is it by the town?
That's a good question.
Because we're one
I think it's
school.
by a school.
Right,
I think it's
so,
by a school.
so would we be, because when you put the two of us together, are we small?
It's under 100, I think we both.
Well, we're not under 100 if you put us all together, right?
No, but it's by school, so school's under 100, I think, is how they were looking at it. So I think both schools would be under 100 individually.
We need to confirm that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that answers a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that non-operational piece, like when Wardsboro voted to go non-operational for 6th grade 2 years ago, there were a lot of like nuances with that rule on where our 6th graders were able to go. There were like a lot of geography pieces and there's a lot of other pieces, which is different than our like 7th graders being able to like independent choice go anywhere. And I think that's a nuance that's really important.
Yeah, no, the statute is for public schools only, and they're for public schools in adjacent towns, the border.
But if we voted to be non-operational for 6th grade, become a pre-K through 5, then we would be covered.
As a whole district, you're talking about, not just a Wardsboro building.
Yeah, the whole district.
Right, so then.
So we wouldn't operate
6 would join 7 and 8 in that. Yeah, so that would require a vote of the population.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But we could set that up because it doesn't take us. We could actually have that vote at the meeting.
Yep.
You know, in April.
The rules for where those students can go have changed, as you guys know, last July 1. And there is there are challenges with people finding middle schools.
There's challenges, especially for middle schools with 6th grade too, because
Sure.
that's even rarer.
But I think when like the Mountain School dropped its middle school, I know we heard this in the Stratton community on the board there, there's people were trying to figure out where to send their kids. There weren't a lot of places accepting middle school students, and BRSU would not guarantee seats available for Stratton students because they don't even guarantee students in Manchester for districts in BRSU that aren't in that district. It's kind of like a read. So anyway, so there's a hole in our region for middle school.
But I think the point also made that at the time we were having those discussions a few years ago was a child would be in one school for a period of time, and go to another school for a year, and go to another school for 2 years, and go to another school.
For sure.
So
maybe there's an option to have, Dover, is that what you're saying, go be a K-8 in Dover?
No, be K through 5. But the whole district.
I mean, there's definitely a need, and I think I don't know, this would be something good for maybe put the committee back together to discuss. And if Dover was K through 8, that may make it a little easier for Wardsboro students to come in this direction and spend 4 years here rather than moving every 2 years like some of the parents are talking about. But I mean, it's just something to explore, I think.
I think we looked at, we at Dover before, River Valley looked at pre-K through 8 because we had an administrator that was pushing for that. And the problem is students lose so much by not, like, if you're gonna go to Brattleboro, you wanna go to Brattleboro in the 7th grade. I think if you're gonna go to Leland and Gray, you probably wanna go there at 6th grade because you wanna be in instead of, because then all the students come in.
But yeah, I hear that, but I'm just wondering with, the parents and the changes taking place, it might be something, an option to talk about.
An interesting thing, as you say that, I'm thinking like Marlboro, if they vote to close, will also have middle school students looking to go somewhere.
Yeah.
That Dover could be a viable option for that.
then they still have to go somewhere else.
For high school, for sure, yeah.
Right.
But I think for us to change our structure to go to an 8th grade, to go for a 6, 7, 8, we would need to have a vote on that too.
Yep.
They need to vote.
Yes, I mean, but again, we could set a vote up. I gotta tell you, when we presented it to Dover back 20 years ago, and I know it's different times, I'm lucky and didn't get tarred and feathered.
I think it's worth the discussion.
Yeah, it's worth getting tarred and feathered.
Yeah, I know, that's what I could be worse.
The gallows are being constructed on common for you. Okay.
Getting back to the budget, Rich, if I can. I do think we need another option, based on what I was talking about before and some of the comments in the public. Looking for something different. It seems like what we have here is, pretty much status quo, and then all the changes, including the 5-6 moving. I'm wondering if we could either, make them similar and having the only change be 5-6, or possibly, having plan A. I don't know. I mean, just, it seems to me that this is like all or nothing.
Let's start with this, and let's go from here, because then we can have 12 different, we could do a budget that each grade is separate.
Right.
Let's,
I don't want plan B to be just like, this is the 5-6 club.
None of this is set in stone, and none of this.
But these are the options we have before us.
These are what we've looked at. Let's do one more meeting with that.
Okay.
Because the other thing is, they're still putting budgets together that need to be done.
Right.
By the middle of the month.
Trying to give you more.
Let's get through one more meeting.
Okay.
Let's see where that goes, and then we can give some direction on what we want to see because then we're gonna need a real draft budget.
I think they heard what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am just a little confused because I thought you wanted some tweaks made to these two that we've already presented at last meeting. Are you saying you want me to present these two again at the next meeting, or you want some?
We're gonna discuss this at the next meeting,
Okay.
right? With input from what we had and some questions that were asked.
Yep,
To
okay.
bring them into
So
it,
no
but we're not
number
changing,
changes.
we're not doing numbers yet.
Okay, I just wanted to.
We're
clarify.
discussing
Oh, okay.
a plan, and then when we get the plan, then you can put numbers
Great,
to it.
that's great.
Oh,
And then you get your other schools all done, and then you can take some
Let's
time.
wrap that up.
Wait, so we're creating a vision of what we want the education of our kids to look like, and we'll assign numbers to it at a later date.
Okay, I just wanted to
And
clarify.
remember, I've been promised a deep dive into our budget for, ever since Wyndham Central grew and took over everything and made a mess of some stuff. You're gonna have to do your deep dive.
I'm happy to do deep dives and give numbers and whatever.
But you don't have to do it yet, we're giving you a little breathing
Okay.
room.
Do you want the budgets
want a
in the
lot, but-
packets next
No.
meeting? Okay.
Okay, is everybody okay?
Yeah, I just, you said, small items.
Wait, hey, folks, we can
Small
have one
items
conversation.
necessarily involve schools under 100 kids. And if we went with option B here, that would put Dover over that number.
My question was, is it by school district or by school building?
Right, and if it's by school building, then Dover would have.
If it's by school district, we're over that, because this is one district with two
Yes.
buildings.
Yes.
Right, but by school what? That's why, we could spend an hour arguing and discussing it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why Bob's gonna get us.
I'll find out more, but I will say
I just wanted to point it
this. The count is typically made from K up, not pre-K.
Yeah.
So even though it looks like it says,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
you know what I mean, some of those kids wouldn't count in the official 100 count. I think it's just pre-K wouldn't, but I'll try to find out as much detail as I can.
Yeah.
You know what else I would really love to see? Could somebody, for me, go look at the birth rates in the two towns for the last 15 years and just see if it matches, if those
If
numbers
those trends match.
trend. So like 15 years ago, what was the birth rates? And then what entered kindergarten 5 years later? So I can get you, I have.
I'll talk to Lori and Jen and see what they
Well, I
have.
have the town reports. For Dover,
Wardsboro puts the names in the book still written on the school.
Andy refuses to. No. You know that there was, Levesque was a famous terrorist, he killed this New Jersey state trooper. He actually went to Brattleboro back in the 80s and tried to get a birth certificate from somebody who had died for a fake ID.
Oh, that's
And
right.
Dick Guthrie went downstairs when he was a captain and they took his gun away from him. And it was a really interesting story, you should look it up. I'll get you, Dover, do you have the Wardsboro Town reports?
I don't have a historical archive. It's not like,
I'm sure the town hall does. I can.
Well, I have all the Dover ones in my office because I collect them.
but Michelle could probably get us.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll get you those numbers. We'll get you the birth rates. or you get the birth rates for Wardsboro, I'll get you the birth rates for Dover, and let's just kind of compare it for 4 and 5 years later. It'd be interesting to see how those numbers hold up. I know that COVID's gonna be.
I thought we had a COVID bump, but I don't know if we got the COVID bump.
I think we did.
Did we?
Yeah, no,
It's really like how, has it always been around?
I think it's
45?
gone down.
no, it was bigger too, because when we first started looking at it, when we did the meetings on what the structure of the River Valley is gonna look like, it didn't make as much sense for us to try to do it in one campus, because the numbers are too high.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, and Dover's numbers have been up in the 100, over 100s at times, some of the ones. So, okay, I think we've killed the old business. Is there any other old business I missed? That's all set. New business, announced tuition rates, Heidi.
Yeah.
So what's that?
So we have to announce tuition for if students outside of River Valley wanted to attend your elementary school.
$2 million.
You can do it, but no, I don't think the state would allow that. Currently, it's 19,383. If you do the worksheet that the state has, you could potentially charge as much as 25,000 because of the expenses being so high. My recommendation, though, is a 4% increase to 20,200. That keeps you in line with the other schools in this area, which tend to be lower. No doubt. And so I'm just telling the board, my recommendation is 4%, and that's what we've typically gone with, but you can do what you want depending
How
on.
many tuition students do we get?
You have a couple from West River.
Yeah.
Tuition students.
And what does West River charge us when we send a student to them?
They haven't said anything, but it's lower for elementary than, I'm recommending that they go up to 19.5. They've been down at just under 19,000.
I think Stratton and West River are the two that currently send.
Pre-K, I think you've gotten, you're right.
Well, pre-K set.
Right, and that's only
We can't vote
4,100.
that, yeah.
Maybe Searsburg area?
Searsburg, that's the name I was
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah,
think.
Searsburg,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Hey,
have
Ron.
had some from Searsburg, yep.
Okay, why don't we, so, but our true actual expenses are as high as 25.
Yes.
We don't have any bond issues, so that's not, doesn't come off. Transportation,
Transportation is not included, you can't.
right, I understand
Yes.
that, but did you, so are we at 25 with transportation?
Without.
Okay, so folks, we're at 20, we could go as high as 25. I mean, there is a law that, part of the law states that at the time of true up, when we do our stat report, if we're more than like 5% over our actual cost per
3%.
pupil, 3%, that they can come after us and ask us for money back. And, yeah, no, sometimes it happened. It happened with Wilmington. When Wilmington High School, they were getting tired of paying us back money because they were so ridiculously high. So then they went so ridiculously low, we had to pay them money so we came to an agreement that we signed a tuition amount. So we can't just charge, and so a lot of times, some people get upset because we say, hey, it's costing me $25,000 per bill as a taxpayer. Why are you letting other people come in at 20? The thing is if we bring tuition in, we don't have to bring them in. So if we had a class of 30 and 5 students want tuition in, we can say no, because it would cause us to have to hire another teacher or something. So it is kind of found money. So that's why we've been going a little bit lower, that we don't charge as much. But it's definitely up to us.
Extra numbers look better when you get.
More income.
Right, I mean, just the fact that your per pupil costs when you're counting in additional students.
Yeah. So your recommendation that the 4% is 20,000?
200, yeah.
20,200.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the proposal of the tuition rate for the FY '27 of $20,200 per pupil.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, Dwight seconded. Kate's motion of $20,200 for the tuition. I think now we have to do it before the budget's done too. Okay, is there any discussion? All set to vote? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I could say raise your hand. Say aye.
There it is.
Okay, it's a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Yay, we made a motion and we passed it today. Superintendent's update.
All right.
Short and sweet.
Yep, you got my cabinet report on the first, as well as the new version of the Super News. You can see there was some information there about budget season and kind of a heavy influence on Marlboro for this particular month, based on everything that's going on over there, what they're going through. So we try to give them a little love in the Super News.
When do they have their vote?
It's going to be on town meeting day.
Whether or not to close.
Yep. So they're working on a motion or an article wording. They have a meeting next week where they'll be adopting that language. So that is their plan, is to put it on the ballot and put up a non-operational budget simultaneously.
So there could be the ability for some more tuition for us.
Certainly a possibility.
You want to revisit that motion?
So yeah, I mean, that's, I don't have a ton going on, just back after a little bit of time off, and boards are off, Bob's off. So, but I'm back on, so.
Okay. Anybody questions for Bob? You skated pretty easy, Bob.
Well,
Hey, this is really fun. We got the home team and the opposing team sitting next to each other. Should we do baseball bats?
Doesn't it?
Tracy, you get to go
I
first.
get to go first. We are super excited to start winter activities this Thursday. Everybody's really stoked, and we're very thrilled to have it snow today, while I was not thrilled, but that's okay. The one thing that I would like to note is that our Pee Wee Ski program, which is our kiddos that can't participate in the Mount Snow program, we have a couple of parent volunteers who are ski coaches. And we have 15 kids from ages 4 to 7 who are participating in that. So we were super excited about that. We have 78 kids who could participate in winter sports, and we have 68 participating. So we were super excited about that. Teachers had a great first day back. Everybody was on it. We started our benchmarks and for winter, and we're ready. We're ready for the winter push. That's about it.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
How many kids would be at Mount Snow for winter sports then from Dover?
68.
I think around 55.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I could get you an exact number, but I'd have to open up my computer real quick. Do you want an exact number?
Send it tomorrow.
I can send it to you tomorrow, sure.
Yeah, you want to. You okay, Kate?
Yep, just making sure we
Have a
are
nice-
resourced. I have a question. Effectively.
Any questions for Tracy? Anybody want to play Stump Tracy? Stump the principal?
I think that's fantastic, that 15 kids in the juniors, the little kids.
I know, we're so
Is that like, is there, I remember years ago, we had a fight to get that in place. Don't they have to have smaller?
Yeah, so they, so the Pee-wees, it's strictly parent volunteers, and they run for a shorter amount of time, and they just use, I'm not familiar with Mount Snow at all, but the magic carpet, if you know about it. So they do that for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and,
Also, as parents, have
Yep.
that's fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you.
and she, Nicole Leonard is heading it up, and she is, she gives them like instructions, so it's super great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I used to follow behind my daughter because they wouldn't allow it.
All set?
House.
You want? Meredith, you all set? Just, you can give us a thumbs up.
Thank you.
Okay, so go ahead, home team.
We are also starting our winter benchmarking, and I am preparing for our fourth graders to take the NAEP testing in March. So they'll have lots of testing, benchmarking, that, BT caps. We are also excited about winter activities. I do embrace the winter because I have to. We also have a Pee Wee program. Karina, you're running that, right? And Kate is running the older kids. We have some kids signing out. There was a culture in the past where if you didn't go to Mount Snow, you just signed out. And I wasn't crazy about that, so we started a little program here. So we have kids that will be sledding, snowshoeing. We weren't able to get the cross-country ski equipment during winter activities, but it works out well because we're getting it after winter activities, and Karina's gonna run it, so that works out perfectly.
This one will give you the last one. We should have.
I know, they got it before us, I don't know how it worked out now. But, and we are also, I talked to Farm Roads Estate, they have that little ice skating rink, and they are giving us a sweet deal. So we're gonna go skating for a couple of those days. I'm gonna rotate the staff around so that we're doing PD, but we're also spending some time with kids. We luckily have our art and music teacher here on Thursday, so they'll be in on the phone. Also a shout out to our school club. They had a paint and sip, or as I call it, a paint and slurp, right before we had to leave school because of our issue with our septic system. But they did some beautiful gnomes. You can't really see, they're behind there. They painted some gnomes and they sipped on hot chocolate with peppermint sticks. It was quite cute. And we also had to reschedule our book giveaway. We had some books left over from our Cliff Grant last year, so we're gonna be doing that coming up. Working on SEL stuff, and our learning walks that Tracy and I are doing, and yeah. I think that's it. Our septic system should be solved. The light is off. The toilets are flushing. We're in a good place. Oh, and our pay and sit pictures, we have some on the back there of our lovely artists. We had to combine kids in here, so it was a busy place in here. But it all worked out well. Thank you.
Cool.
It was a poop day.
It was a poop day?
It wasn't a snow day, it was a poop day.
We have so many jokes that I probably can't say online right now, but they were flying. Lots of stuff was flying. Yeah.
When the poop flies, it's time to go.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. We use that little emoji a lot. Yeah.
Cool. See, Tracy never has to worry about poop. She only has to worry about water.
Okay.
Just no water. I do have that occasionally.
And you still have the other stuff, the PCBs.
PCBs, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have that.
But all of our lead tests came back, all of our water's good, so we're good to go with that. It was just came back.
I have so many systems with high lead copper, it's crazy. I think we're good with principals. Meredith, you all set?
Yes.
You guys set? You got off easy. The other one. Approved financials, I got one financial.
Yep.
Credit cards for $2,315.21.
So moved.
Oh, go ahead.
That we approve pay warrant number 35 in the amount of $2,315.21.
And a second to that?
Second. A second.
Oh, Eli beat you to it. Man, that wasn't even close. He was ready. He wanted to be in the minutes.
Got it.
Okay. Is there any discussion? It's a big one. Hearing no discussions, all those in favor say aye.
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 Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. Here's the story for you folks. The law used to be if the school board overspent the budget, they were personally liable for the amount of overage to be paid. It was when I was on the board, first on the board.
So we're the only person on the board?
No, I never knew it until I happened to be recent. Okay, appears to be.
Working the other direction?
No,
Did you get any money back?
No, but the board did have a big, the Dover board one time had a big ice cream social for all the teachers. When they had a big surplus one year. Don't get it. Anyways, it appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Cool. I think if you want to leave, you can leave.
Okay.
And you can take your.
Yeah.
So leave.
You gotta really rest.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's snowing out. So
Okay, thank you. I
if you wanna
appreciate
go,
it. Yep.
I'm gonna keep Bob.
Yeah.
So consent agenda and the minutes of 12:15 meeting from 2025. Kate moves,
It's
yeah.
consent.
Yeah, it's consent. Does anybody disapprove? Okay. And then I had no correspondence. Bob, I don't think we had any correspondence.
Not this past week.
Yep. Cool. So, we're gonna move into executive
Do
session.
you want to talk about the next meeting?
Yeah, let's talk about next meetings. I understand that January 19th is a holiday, but if we can meet, I'd like to meet because we've got a lot of stuff we gotta get done. And it may be easier for parents because they won't have to be picking the kids up from school. So, and I don't know the better way to celebrate Martin Luther King birthday than to have a school board meeting about education, which he was a very educated man. So it's up to you all. I know, Bob, you're not working that day, or it's a holiday, but.
Would you still do 5 and 6, the same structure
Yeah,
this time?
and then, and what we can do is we don't need to have a principal's reports. And if they want, if you guys can just come to that meeting, then that would be, we would let you go after that. We won't do a heavy agenda, but I think it would be good to try to do it. I think, I don't know, it just seems to me.
Are we gonna do the IB topic, like,
Yeah,
next week, too?
yeah.
Or in 2 weeks?
Yeah. I'd like to do at least those 2 subjects.
And then we can keep the rest of it pretty light.
Yeah, very
And
light.
like, so you're gonna be at the Dover building. Do we need to have any team members at the Dover building, or just?
I'd like it if the team members can make it, just because I think it works really good if we can all be.
Hey, Rich?
Yeah?
My only I don't mind coming to the meeting. My only concern is that we would have a lower attendance from the Dover parents because it's a holiday.
Do you know that for a fact, or do you think more of them would come because they don't have to pick the kids up and cook the
I do not. That's why I'm throwing it out for discussion.
Yeah. Again,
Jay, it's not 40 weekend?
Yes, it's a 40.
Tuesday the kids are off too, so.
Oh yeah, we have 2 days off. We have Monday and Tuesday off.
holy mackerel, I should have been a teacher, man.
Teachers will.
Well, teachers work on it.
No, the teachers do not have it off, but the kids have Monday and Tuesday off.
But the teachers have Monday off.
Yes.
Correct.
Right. So the parents might be out of town
Yeah.
if they know that they have 4 days off.
Then let's go to the week after, but the week after is another one of the boards, isn't it?
It is. You could go to Tuesday, 20th,
Well, no, the parents are off.
but it's still school night at that point, coming back for Wednesday.
Could we do it, or if we did it early, that would be, because the West River meeting is until 7, so if it's a 5 o'clock meeting on the next week, would that work, or is that too much for you?
There's a fundraiser Tuesday night for the 6th graders from 4 to 7 p.m. So I'm gonna take Tuesday off the table because I'm already prior.
Yeah. That's what, can you do 5 and run up to Townsend?
Which day are you talking about?
The week after, the 20th.
So there's no West River meeting the week after because it's the
Oh,
fourth.
can you do that?
Monday. So yeah,
How about the 4th Monday, folks?
26th.
Monday the 26th. That sounds delightful.
You okay? Meredith?
That works.
Okay, I think we got a date. So I just remind me to tell Sarah and Amy. Then what about February 16th? Is that a vacation too?
No, our vacation week is altered from the normal President's Day, and the kids are going to school on the 16th this year. We have, River Valleys has school vacation the 23rd of February, all through that week, plus we have March 2nd and 3rd off due
For
to
town meeting.
day.
Yeah.
So the March 2nd date is your one after that one would still be during that vacation. But the 16th of
But
February.
I don't,
Such a
just
silly.
kill me.
You can come back to that one later if you want.
Let's come back to that one later. We got 4 meetings out. We got a couple meetings out, so.
All right, so we're gonna do January 26th, so we're not meeting on January 19th.
Right.
January 26th, February 2nd, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Right.
Okay.
And then, because we may want to have a couple extra meetings depending what
January
gets,
26th instead of 19th.
what we hear about IB and what we hear about budgets and structures.
Yeah, later.
Is that okay with everybody?
Good.
Okay,
Just one thing to confirm, the 26th and the 2nd are 1 week apart.
that's fine. Yeah, because if we start skipping meetings, then we're
Yep.
interfering with other schools.
Yep, that throws everything off.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So 5 PM on the 26th and then 6 PM on the.
Right, we'll go back, we'll plan on going back, but let's also see what happens if we want to have 2 more public meetings before we put the budget out. I'd like to have a lot of input on the budget before we actually put it out, because I think it's going to be a tough budget year this year, especially if they don't move any money over and things are as bad as they say it is in the world.
Talk of freezing budgets or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay, so Bob, we have an executive session. Who do we need for that? Do we need the administrators or let them leave?
I think they can leave because they've given me input through this.
Okay, I'm just thinking because of the snow, if you
Yep.
guys want to take off.
They
I
have
know
ways to go.
he has to go down into the lowlands there.
we do.
Start raining down there.
Are we keeping
Bob's
Bob,
probably-
so Bob hosts the meetings, we can keep Meredith?
No, I need Bob.
Oh,
Oh.
that's what I said, are we keeping Bob?
Oh, can you take over or can we give Meredith the meeting?
He's already on it.
You can just make me the host.
You okay? You're host.
Well, she needs to make me host.
Okay, I was just blessing you as host.
Anyway.
Okay. Dana, we're gonna kick you out in a minute.
That's fine. I think I know the policy you're talking about. It goes from the principal to the superintendent to the
No,
board.
it starts at the staff, at a teacher, and then
Uh-huh.
you go to the, if you don't like what the teacher told you, you get to go to the administrator. If you don't like that, then you can jump to the superintendent.
Yep, I'm there.
Okay, if you don't agree with what the superintendent said, you can apply, you can ask to be heard by the board.
Cool.
But it would be in an executive session, because
No problem.
it would deal with, well, just so you know, it deals with the student, because
I appreciate that.
we don't want to air
I appreciate
hear
that very
that.
much.
So if you need to do that, just you need to let Bob know that you'd like to appeal his decision if you don't agree with whatever decision he's made, and then you can come to the board.
I never heard any feedback on any decisions. I don't even know what that decision was.
Okay, well then you check with Bob, and if Bob gives you,
I have a draft of an email.
I'm sorry,
I have a draft of an email.
okay,
I'll finish it up and send it to you.
okay. So I think we're all set, you're all set?
Yep.
Okay, so we need a couple motions.
All right, I would like to make,
Dana, hang on 1 second while we make these motions.
I would like to move, I can't read today. I move to find that premature general public knowledge will clearly place the public body or a person involved at substantial disadvantage.
Do we have a second? Thank you,
30
Meredith.
seconds.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is.
I move to enter an executive session to discuss contract/labor negotiations under 1 BSA 313, 1B.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. We're in executive session. And so Bob is going to get back to us from the executive session after he consults with the attorney. So the other motion, it's we need the motion a second, but it's not discussionable.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Oh, Eli was quicker than me that time, but you just stood in the sidelines.
Slide over there.
So Kate moved, Eli seconded, not Levi. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
Aye.
Appears to be unanimous decision. Affirmative. It is. We are adjourned. Everybody drive home. Meredith, drive safely. Oh.
She can't.